A warm greeting. Today is Wednesday, November 13, 2024. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia speaking. At the time of recording, it is 4 p.m. local time in Central America, where we are closely monitoring the evolution of Invest 99. Due to its proximity to northern sectors of Honduras, it was designated this afternoon as Potential Tropical Cyclone 19 of the season. This designation indicates that it is imminent that a tropical depression and Tropical Storm Sara will develop. With this designation, a hurricane watch has been issued for sectors in eastern and northern Honduras, where this future cyclone could impact the region over the next 4 to 5 days. This low-pressure system still lacks a closed and defined circulation at low atmospheric levels, so it cannot yet be considered a tropical cyclone. However, in visible satellite imagery, we can see that it is organizing this afternoon, with a high probability of becoming Tropical Storm Sara within the next 24 hours. Specialized track models continue to project a westward movement over the next 3 to 4 days. Of particular concern is its slow movement across northeastern Honduras, essentially throughout the weekend, potentially causing a catastrophic rain event from Friday through next Monday. The most likely scenario is that this system will pass very close to the northern coast of Honduras or move over coastal areas of the country. Representing the worst-case scenario for Honduras, western Nicaragua, parts of El Salvador, eastern Guatemala, Belize, and eventually the Yucatán Peninsula. However, as we mentioned this morning, this proximity to land may somewhat limit the system's strengthening. Thus, in the medium to long term, it could be a better scenario for the Yucatán Peninsula, where it is expected to arrive as a strong tropical storm or a Category 1 hurricane, rather than the major hurricane previously projected over the past few days. Nonetheless, it is essential to remain vigilant, especially to determine the exact location where the center of circulation consolidates. According to the National Hurricane Center, any deviation further north could mean a stronger system, as conditions may be highly favorable for significant strengthening. Regardless of whether it becomes a hurricane in the Western Caribbean, our primary concern is the potential rainfall it could bring across various Central American countries. This includes parts of Costa Rica and western Panama, where over 200 millimeters of accumulated rainfall is expected over the next 5 days. Additionally, heavy rainfall between 150 to 200 millimeters is also expected to impact western Nicaragua, parts of El Salvador, eastern Guatemala, Belize, and eventually the Yucatán Peninsula. But our greatest concern is the catastrophic rain event anticipated for northern Honduras, where models project rainfall accumulations of over 1,000 millimeters throughout this weekend. Therefore, it is very important to share this video with people living in Central America, particularly in Costa Rica, Panama, and northern Honduras, as this weekend will be challenging for the region, and we are potentially forecasting a catastrophe, especially for Honduras. Additionally, residents of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands could see between 150 to 200 millimeters of rainfall over the next 5 days. I would like to emphasize the situation in Honduras and show this accumulated rainfall animation for the weekend to highlight the projected rainfall totals according to the best meteorological models. We are talking about rainfall accumulations varying between 500 to 1,000 millimeters. The areas marked in white and gray represent zones that could receive the heaviest rainfall. If you live in the central and northern cities of Honduras, you should begin preparing for this event and relocate to a safe area outside of flood-prone zones. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, the trajectory near Honduras could limit the strengthening of this disturbance. In today's afternoon runs, specialized intensity models project that it will strengthen over the next 72 hours, potentially becoming a strong tropical storm or a Category 1 hurricane by Sunday or Monday. However, everything will depend on the path this system takes. For instance, if it follows a more southern track and remains over northern Honduras, this would limit its strengthening, and in this case, it might stay as a weak to moderate tropical storm. On the other hand, if the center of circulation forms farther north and remains over the waters of the western Caribbean Sea, it could intensify into a Category 1 or Category 2 hurricane before reaching Belize or the Yucatán Peninsula. There is considerable uncertainty about its future intensity. However, regardless of how strong it becomes over the weekend, the rainfall event for Honduras is not tied to its intensity. We are still projecting accumulations of over 800 millimeters in the next 5 days. In the medium term, after crossing the Yucatán Peninsula, and depending on how strong it becomes, it may move northeastward and eventually impact Florida early next week. But we'll discuss this further later when I show you the projections of the global models. Now that this disturbance has been designated Potential Tropical Cyclone 19, we have the first forecast from the National Hurricane Center, which projects that over the next 3 days, it will approach the northeastern coast of Honduras and remain stationary in the region over the weekend, causing that catastrophic rainfall event. Also, take a look at the pink zone, which is under a hurricane watch, and note the wide cone of uncertainty between Sunday and Monday. We still don't know exactly which area will be impacted by future Tropical Storm Sara, between the Yucatán Peninsula and Belize. In this forecast, the National Hurricane Center projects that it will reach northern Belize and southern Quintana Roo as a strong tropical storm. However, I want to emphasize that the National Hurricane Center notes that significant changes in intensity could occur depending on where the center of circulation consolidates. By tomorrow, we should have a clearer idea of its path and how much it could strengthen over the western Caribbean Sea. Now, let's look at the latest projections from the global models. Let's start with the American model, which shows that Tropical Storm Sara will form by tomorrow morning, Thursday, and approach northeastern Honduras in the early hours of Friday, remaining in the region throughout the weekend. In its latest run, the American model projects that the center of circulation could move over northern Honduras, resulting in a rather weak system as it nears Belize and the Yucatán Peninsula. If this scenario shown by the GFS model plays out, with a more southerly track over northern Honduras, it would eventually lead to a significantly weakened system that could affect Florida as a tropical depression or weak tropical storm. Besides the rainfall, let's look at the projected wind gusts from the American model, which indicate that the coast of Honduras could experience gusts between 70 to 80 km per hour, as well as along the coasts of Quintana Roo and Belize. However, remember that this is subject to change depending on how much the system strengthens over the next few days. Now, let's examine another scenario from the European model. Initially, it's very similar to the American model, with Tropical Storm Sara developing on Thursday morning and moving slowly, remaining north and northeast of Honduras throughout the weekend. By Monday morning, it's projected to move over northern Belize and southern Quintana Roo before entering the Gulf of Mexico, where it could strengthen again before reaching Florida by Wednesday morning. Unlike the American model, the European model does show a strong tropical storm or Category 1 hurricane impacting Florida. This clearly highlights the significant difference between the two top models, due to the uncertainty around whether the center will move over Honduras or remain over waters north of Honduras. In the case of the German model, it projects that the system will approach the northern coast of Honduras, strengthening into a Category 1 hurricane before reaching Belize on Sunday night. Meanwhile, the UK model projects a tropical storm moving toward Belize. This high level of uncertainty about its future intensity is evident in the ensemble members of the American model, where the future of Tropical Storm Sara will depend on where the center of circulation consolidates. Members with a more northerly track strengthen this system into a Category 1, 2, or even 3 hurricane as it heads toward the Yucatán Peninsula, western Cuba, or southern Florida. However, the majority of members have it tracking over or very close to the northern coast of Honduras, eventually reaching Belize and the Yucatán Peninsula. In this case, these models keep it as a tropical storm, though with less spread. We also have the European model ensemble projection. Members with a path similar to the one marked by the National Hurricane Center, very close to the coast of Honduras, keep future Tropical Storm Sara as a tropical storm. However, members with a more north-northwest track allow it to strengthen into a hurricane before reaching the Yucatán Peninsula. A significant difference between the European model ensemble and the American model ensemble is that the European model has many members that bring a strong tropical storm or Category 1 hurricane over Florida by early next week. So there's a lot to watch over the next few days. I will continue to monitor the evolution of potential Tropical Cyclone 19 and keep you informed, especially for sectors in Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula, Panama, Costa Rica, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and eventually the state of Florida. Under this special coverage, I'll be recording another video early tomorrow morning, so I encourage you to check if you're subscribed to the channel. If you're not, please subscribe and don't forget to click the bell so you get notifications when I post new videos. With that, I'll say goodbye for now. See you tomorrow.